Hi loves, it's Nicole and today we are multitasking. Nothing new there. I am a plant mom, a proud plant mom, and I want to introduce you guys to Mr. Mushnick. Now, normally Mr. Mushnick is kind of clumped together, but the other day I took the vines apart to see if I like the aesthetics of having it draped down my mantle, and I discovered I do not. So Mr. Mushnick is growing, and it's growing outward, and so I have another plant named Seymour, and I created a trellis for that so that it grows up and out, and I think that's the vibe that I want to go for my mantle. We're going to create and chat today. Before we do, I'm going to show you my other plants so you get an idea of what I mean. Then we're going to get my supplies together and get started on this DIY. This is Seymour, my very first plant that I received from an elderly neighbor of mine. And once it started to get extremely big, I created this trellis right here, which is what we're going to create today. You can barely see it, but it's just some bamboo sticks I put together because I wanted the plant to grow up and out versus just out and dangling. So that's what we're going to create today, and we're going to get started. All of my supplies, and I don't think this lighting is going to work, so I'm gonna do a switcheroo. Hold please. I am back. My pieces are cut. So as I was saying, I was pressured, I would say, sort of kind of, to start an Instagram account because I was stepping into this entrepreneurship world space, and I knew already that social media is just not for me. It doesn't suit well with my personality, regardless of my mental imbalances or not. Me personally, social media does not really mix. I am more of a private person. I am also, contradictory to me getting on YouTube and sharing what I have shared thus far in terms of my discussions about my experience with workplace bullying, opening up a little bit more about my mental health. Outside of that, I'm not really interested in sharing much of myself, nor am I really interested, I'm just waiting for my glue gun to heat up. I am not interested in other people's personal lives. Furthermore, I think the most detrimental thing for me is I can't control necessarily what I'm exposed to when it comes to social media. In particular, with Instagram, there's things that mentally I do not need to see. I don't need to see people fighting. I don't need to see people cursing at each other. I don't need to see violence. It's not a safe space for me mentally. Plus, I do better in the real world versus the virtual world. In terms of, there's too much for me to get right physically, personally, that something like any platform in terms of social media is too much. I cannot consume certain things because it can be triggering. And when you're someone who gets triggered, it's almost your responsibility to make sure you don't put yourself in spaces that can be triggering. And I allowed myself to get pressured to enter that space And I'm a year and a half later, I'm done. Like, I'm not interested. It's not for me. And that is okay. Hold on one moment. We are going to get handy because I don't feel like getting up and getting a hammer, but I need to even this out. Okay. My main thing is protecting my aura, my space, my energy, and the information and experiences I take in. The best way for me to ensure that it's just not really be in a space where that can be compromised. Instagram is compromising to my mental health. And as much as people want to make others feel guilty about not being on social media, I don't think you guys have heard how many times before I got on there, folk were like, you don't have an Instagram account? You do not have social media? The amount of people who are like, who would say to me to follow them and follow them and follow them, and then I'm like, well, I don't have any of those platforms. The look that I would get would be interesting because I'm thinking, how is social media the catalyst of determining the relevancy of someone? Like, I'm not determined based off of what I show on social media. Furthermore, when I go before God, He is not going to base my entering into heaven as how does your social media look. What He's more concerned about is my heart, my duty, my legacy that I created for myself on earth, how I treated people, how I worship Him in my daily life, not social media. And I just want to make sure that I stay focused on what is important for me, for my growth, for my health. And social media is not it. I tried, I really did, but again, insert personality, that's not it, guys. It's not. I think the biggest thing about having mental illness, mental imbalances, is having a true understanding of who you are and not allowing anyone to influence you to do things that are not helpful to your mental state. Had to make a cut. It is so easy to fall into societal pressures and expectations. However, I'm not willing to risk my mental health for someone else's perception of what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. I have too much of internal struggles to incorporate anything that is going to derail my progress, get me off kilter. Social media for me is too much, and I know it is. And I have to make the appropriate decision, responsible decision, versus falling victim to believing I'm required to do anything I'm not required to do. I started with Facebook, and since then there has been so many other platforms, and the expectation of anyone to be like, let me incorporate another platform into my daily life, my daily activity. It's a hard no for me. I cannot. I absolutely cannot. Quitting has been the best decision and circumstances for me. If I can give you a little bit of insight, those who have any type of suicidal thoughts, what makes a platform like Instagram so triggering is honestly a combination of things. And again, when it comes to mental illness, mental health, suicide, there's no one spectrum, one size fit all in terms of how we think, how we navigate life, what our triggers are. But you will hear a lot of those battling with depression and thoughts of suicide speak to how much social media is. It's overwhelming for me in particular to see certain things, encounter certain things, and I mean, if I could tell you guys some of the stuff that I inadvertently have seen on social media that has just put me in a headspace that I didn't need to be in. I don't think a lot of people understand the magnitude of the things that they post. It's like you post things for views and clicks without thinking in mind how that impacts the person who sees it. I don't need to see a body in a casket. I do not need to see people fighting. And so because I know this, the best thing for me to do is not to be in spaces where I can see those things. And there's nothing wrong with anyone making a decision to not be on social media. My mental health is in my hands. It's not for anybody else to necessarily cater to or have my best interests when it comes to that. So it wouldn't even make a lot of sense for me to stay in the space that is not healthy. And I think so often we don't think about impact. Our impact on the world, our impact on other people. We are really in this space now where we just want to be famous. And I feel like social media contributes to that as well, because it's regular people realizing how regular celebrities are, and we're evening the playing field in terms of that. We didn't have that much interaction, that much closeness, that much availability. And now everybody wants to be seen. And at the end of the day, your presence should be known, but that to me is not the healthiest way to make sure that you're visible. We're more than a post. We are more than look at me, look at my child, look at my husband, look at my family. It's too much. I'm definitely not trying to speak on what someone should choose to post in terms of their personal lives. What I am saying though is it's altering our sense of reality, because we're so focused on making sure that we are doing things for the simple fact of capturing it, whether it's real or not. And what I'm saying is, as someone who deals with mental imbalances, I can't keep up with that. I'm not interested in that. And that does not work for me. It's not a safe space. And I recognize that it's not a safe space. And with understanding it's not a safe space, I have exited stage left. But I am proud of myself for at least trying. I tried it, and I realized how much of it is not for me. And again, that is okay. It is definitely okay for me to, I guess, go against societal pressures right now to join in on the world of social media. I think what attracts me the most about YouTube is that I have a way more control over what I see. My timeline, that the algorithm of YouTube is catered to what I watch, and very few random, depressing, outrageous things get through. And again, I have the control to push play. I don't on Instagram. Those things just be automatically playing, and the next thing you know is you're watching someone get shot. No. Just no. I think I did it. I'm not 110% sure, but I think I got it. I'm going to put this on my mantle, see how it looks, and play with it a little bit. But that's my little trellis, my way to make sure that my plant grows a little bit better than just vines hanging down or just poofing out wide versus giving me more of a well-rounded situation. I think I like it. But I hope you all like my TED Talk. I hope I didn't bore you. I hope you understand where I'm coming from and why I have made the decision to step away from social media, e.g. Instagram, and I have played around with the idea of getting an intern who can go in and make sure business is tend to shared so people can, I guess, confirm my expertise, or I don't really know. Somebody else will do it. Get somebody else to do it, they said. That's what I'm going to do. Get someone else to do it. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. And of course, if no one told you today, let me be the one to tell you, I love you. Bye.